I sat in the hospital waiting room, torn between staying and leaving. Part of me wanted to run away and leave the woman who had cheated on me wondering where I was. But I knew I had to confront her one last time. Let me backtrack a bit. My name is Mike Gregory, and I work as a CPA at the accounting firm of Thomas and McMaster. I've been married to Jenny for almost 5 years, but that's about to change. After high school, I joined the Marine Corps and served as a disbursing clerk. It wasn't the most exciting job, but I enjoyed working with numbers. They say liars can figure, but figures don't lie, and I appreciated that aspect of my work. Once my time in the Corps was up, I joined the reserves and completed my bachelor's degree in accounting. I met Jenny during my senior year of college. She was studying to become a paralegal with aspirations of becoming a lawyer. We met, dated, and got married this September after we graduated. I started my career at Thomas and McMaster, while Jenny began working at the law firm of Johnson and Associates, specializing in family law. For the first 4 years of our marriage, everything seemed perfect. Jenny was supportive of my reserve duties, and we enjoyed a loving relationship with frequent passionate encounters. We lived in a nice apartment and were considering buying a house and starting a family. However, things took a turn after our 4th anniversary. Jenny started going out on Fridays after work with her friends to unwind. Initially, she would return home early in the evening, and we would spend the night together. But over time, she started coming home later and later. Once, she even stayed out all night, claiming she crashed at a friend's place to avoid driving home drunk. A call to her friend's house confirmed Jenny's story, and we went to the bar to retrieve her car. While her friend could have been covering for her, I had no concrete proof of that. I was frustrated and told Jenny that if it happened again, she should call me, and I would pick her up to ensure she got home safely. Yeah, whatever, she replied dismissively. That incident marked the beginning of the end for us. Jenny became increasingly dismissive and disrespectful, insisting that I had no right to question her activities outside of work or home. While I understood that I didn't own her, I felt that if she truly cared about me, she would at least keep me informed about her whereabouts to alleviate my concerns. I also noticed changes in her appearance when she returned from these outings. Her clothing often looked disheveled, she smelled of cologne and something else, and she rushed to shower upon arriving home, claiming fatigue and avoiding intimacy on those nights. As a CPA, I managed our finances, including our checking and savings accounts. While our financial setup had been standard for the first 4 years of our marriage, I began to observe alterations in Jenny's spending habits. She started purchasing lingerie and clubwear, but I never saw these items. When I inquired about them, she brushed off my questions, asserting that it was none of my concern. I don't mind you treating yourself, I said, but I haven't seen any of these purchases. What are you doing with them? It's none of your business, she replied arrogantly, leaving me baffled and frustrated. I also noticed that her salary didn't appear to increase on the 4th anniversary of her employment with the firm. When I questioned her about it, she claimed there were no raises due to a slowdown in business. However, I knew this was untrue based on the firm's financial performance, which I handled as part of my job. Then came the end-of-year holiday party at her workplace, which they labeled a holiday party for political correctness. Jenny initially tried to dissuade me from attending, which raised suspicions for me. Since you're not too fond of mingling with my colleagues, why not skip the party this year, she suggested. You don't really enjoy being around a bunch of uptight lawyers. Maybe I just want to spend the evening with you, I replied. She sighed and shrugged. Fine, if you insist, she relented. But I plan to socialize with my coworkers, and I can't have you clinging to me all night. What do you mean by socialize with your colleagues? I inquired. Don't you see them every day at work and during your evening outings? Well, I might be asked to dance by some of them, she explained. All right, I conceded. Do I have a spot on your dance card? She rolled her eyes and sighed again. I suppose I can squeeze you in somewhere, she conceded. Don't go out of your way, I replied. At the party, I barely saw her the entire evening. She introduced me to a few coworkers as her ball and chain and disappeared to dance with various men. Her colleagues looked at me with sympathy, and hardly anyone spoke to me. I never got the chance to dance with her, and I noticed her leaving the party multiple times, returning with men who were touchy-feely with her. If I didn't know any better, I'd think she had slept with some of them. I'm ready to leave, she slurred eventually, clearly intoxicated and disheveled. I grunted and headed to the car, where she tried to kiss me, but I pushed her away, noticing her foul breath. "What's wrong?" she asked. "Your breath stinks," I pointed out. "What have you been drinking?" She giggled. "Wouldn't you like to know?" she teased. "I couldn't help but notice you didn't bother to dance with me but spent the whole night with everyone else," I remarked. "So what?" she snapped. "I also noticed you were absent a lot," I continued. "Where did you go?" She brushed it off. "That's none of your business," she retorted. We drove home in silence, and there was no intimacy that night. After the holidays, Jenny's behavior worsened. Our sex life dwindled, she spent more time out with her friends, and her attitude toward me soured. A couple of weeks after the party, I learned from George Wilson that Jenny and her colleagues had received hefty bonuses and significant pay raises, none of which had been deposited into our account. I was left wondering what she was doing with the money. I contemplated asking Jenny about it, but decided against it. Given her attitude, I suspected she would lie and turn it into an argument. Instead, I asked George to investigate and promised to give him a few days. 2 days later, George visited my office with some troubling findings. Records indicated that Jenny had her pay raise deposited into a separate account at another bank. It seemed she was planning to leave me. Additionally, he mentioned some financial irregularities in the company's records. I noted down the details and thanked George. Later that day, I received an email notification on my phone. The subject line read, "What your wife is hiding." Opening the email, I found a video attached that shattered my world. The video depicted Jenny and a man, both naked. He was engaging in intimate acts with her, and their conversation was like a knife to my heart. Their crude remarks filled me with a rage I had never experienced before. As I watched, Jenny encouraged the man's actions, making disparaging comments about me. The man suggested impregnating her, and Jenny eagerly agreed, planning to deceive me. It was a betrayal beyond comprehension. Unable to watch any further, I stopped the video and checked the sender's email address, hoping it was a cruel prank. I replied, asking for details about when the video was taken. Minutes later, I received a response. "I'm Tracy Williams, the wife of the man in the video, and I know your wife. This happened yesterday. Do you want to meet? If so, call me at XXXXXX. I was eager to meet. I had countless questions. How long had this been happening? This video shed light on much of what had transpired between us in recent months. I noted down her number and dialed. "Hello," a woman's voice answered. "Is this Mr. Gregory?" "Yes," I replied. "Please, call me Mike." "Is this Tracy?" "It is," she confirmed. "I assume you've seen the video." "Some of it," I admitted. "I want to meet and understand what's going on." "Okay," she agreed. "Let's meet at the Starbucks around the corner from your office. 20 minutes. "I'll be there," I said, ending the call. I shut down my workstation, informed my secretary I'd be out, and headed to Starbucks. After ordering coffee, I waited. Moments later, an attractive woman entered. Spotting me, she approached. I invited her to join me, offering to buy her coffee. After introductions, she handed me a manila envelope from her bag. "Everything you need is here," she said. I glanced inside, finding photographs, a private investigator's report, and a flash drive. The drive contains videos, more photos, and a digital copy of the report. "I'm sorry you had to discover their affair like this." "How long has this been going on?" I asked, feeling devastated. "At least 4 months, from what I know," she replied. "Possibly longer. She's been involved with several others at her firm, as detailed in the report." "Why are you telling me all this?" I inquired. "Because I plan to name your wife in my divorce, and that affects you," she explained. Plus, I thought you should be aware if you hadn't already figured it out. I suspected something, but lacked proof, I admitted. What's your plan? I've warned my husband before that I'd divorce him if he cheated, she said. Now, with solid evidence, I'm following through. You're familiar with their firm's tactics, right? Jenny mentioned how ruthless they can be, I said, recalling her discussions about the firm's practices. I was astonished by what Jenny had shared and the impunity they seemed to enjoy. Winning at any cost, Tracy confirmed. So, yes, I'm proceeding now that I have undeniable proof. What do you expect from me? I asked. Nothing, she replied. I just felt it was the right thing to do. No desire for revenge? I queried. None, she affirmed. No offense. You're a decent guy, but until this is resolved, I won't risk jeopardizing it. I nodded, understanding her stance. In fact, she added, I think we should refrain from contacting each other until it's concluded. I respected her decision wholeheartedly. That's sensible, I agreed. Thank you for sharing this information. She rose to leave. You're welcome, Mike. Again, I'm sorry, Tracy said, offering me a business card from her purse. This is my attorney's name and number. She's a real shark, and she's expecting to hear from you. I accepted the card gratefully and considered her words carefully. Eager to explore the contents of the flash drive, I decided to take the afternoon off, called the office to inform them, and headed home. Upon arriving home, I immediately went to my personal computer and inserted the flash drive. It contained several videos, all depicting Jenny engaging in explicit acts with different men, including John Williams. Some videos even showed Jenny with John and at least one other man. One particular scene turned my stomach. Jenny, caught on camera, entered the bathroom without bothering to close the door for privacy. As I watched in disbelief, she removed her rings and urinated on them while seated on the toilet, with John laughing in the background. Damn, you're one nasty bitch, John remarked. I hope you wash those things before putting them back on. Jenny laughed, dismissing his concern and commenting on how she only wore the rings when I was around. Why don't you just divorce him if you think so little of him? John inquired. Jenny shrugged, admitting she still had some feelings for me and found it more enjoyable to engage in deceitful acts behind my back. Maybe one day we can make him watch us fuck, Jenny suggested, revealing her twisted plans to humiliate me further. John eagerly agreed, seeing it as an opportunity to have sex with her whenever he pleased. Shocked and disgusted by what I witnessed, I realized Jenny had declared war without even knowing it. I vowed to retaliate in ways she couldn't fathom. Reviewing the private investigator's report, I learned that Jenny and her lovers frequently rendezvoused at the Marriott Hotel downtown and spent nights together at least once a week, with one weekend a month spent at my house. Those weekends coincided with my reserve drill commitments. With some time before Jenny's return, I dialed the number on Tracy's card and made an appointment with Sally Hawkins, her attorney, for the following morning. Then, I took proactive steps in preparation for the impending divorce, closing joint credit cards, opening a separate account in my name, and transferring half of our funds into it. I proceeded to the gun safe and retrieved my .45 caliber M1911A1 pistol, still holstered. With a fully loaded magazine attached to the pistol grip and secured to my belt, I ensured my permit to carry remained valid, given our state's regulations. Though I possessed a concealed carry permit, I rarely utilized it, but after overhearing Jenny with her lover, I wasn't willing to take any risks. Entering what was once our bedroom, I grabbed a suitcase and an overnight bag. I carelessly packed some of Jenny's clothes into the suitcase and her toiletries into the overnight bag, positioning the packed luggage near the door. As I sat at my computer, Jenny arrived home. I activated the camera on my phone, discreetly positioned in my shirt pocket. Her surprise at finding me home early was evident. "Why are you home so early?" she inquired, stepping into the bedroom. "I had some matters to attend to," I replied casually, her gaze shifting to the pistol on my hip. "Why are you carrying that?" she questioned. "For protection," I stated. "And I have something to show you." Curious, she joined me by the computer as I pulled up a video file and played it. Her eyes widened as she witnessed herself engaging in intimate acts with two men. Well, she acknowledged. I suppose you've caught me. I suppose so, I concurred, taken aback by her lack of remorse. I had hoped for an apology or a display of regret, but her demeanor remained arrogant and dismissive. Now that you know, there's no need for secrecy, she declared. John will be visiting, spending nights in my bed. And perhaps if you behave, I might allow you to partake in cleaning up after us. It's a shame, really. I had hoped to prolong the charade, but there's no point now. You're delusional, I retorted sharply, a tone I had never used with her before. She appeared surprised by my response. In fact, you'll gather your belongings and leave immediately, I demanded. Are you planning to file for divorce? She challenged. Because that would be a grave mistake. Is that a threat? I questioned. Will you and your companions fabricate accusations against me, as you've done to others? You have no idea what we're capable of, she warned. We can ruin your life, tarnish your reputation, and destroy your career. We have ways of manipulating evidence to incriminate you. You'd be wise not to cross us. So, that's your plan? I questioned. You intend to coerce me into becoming your cuckold by fabricating lies that you know are untrue? Why not? She retorted. We do it all the time. I'll leave for now, but mull it over carefully. You've got 48 hours to reconsider. Either comply with our demands or face public humiliation. Wait, I interjected, reaching for her hand. What? She demanded, startled. I swiftly removed her rings and snatched her keys from her purse. What are you doing? She protested as I extracted the house key. Tossing her purse back to her, I commanded, Get out. I've already packed some of your belongings. Now leave. She glanced at the luggage by the door, then back at me. Come on, Mike, don't do this, she pleaded. Out. I reiterated sternly. Reluctantly, she picked up the luggage and departed. I stopped the video on my phone, ensuring I captured the entire confrontation. Satisfied, I resolved to show Sally tomorrow. I emailed the video to myself for safekeeping and sent it to her parents, her sister, and mine. I wanted them all to witness Jenny's true colors and preempt any attempt to vilify me in this situation. The rest of the night, I drowned my thoughts in beer and TV. After a restless night, I called in sick and informed my boss about the situation, receiving his understanding. Just handle things and come back soon, he instructed. Thanks, boss, I acknowledged before ending the call. After a shower, I dressed and headed to Sally's office, ensuring I had all necessary documents. Sally's reaction was one of disbelief as she reviewed the evidence. Mike, this is astonishing, she remarked. I've heard rumors about Johnson and Associates, but lacked concrete evidence. We're looking at serious charges if her claims are true. So, can we take action? I inquired. I'll file for divorce on grounds of adultery, seeking a 70-30 split with no support. We'll give her 30 days to respond and demand a full financial report. I'll also pursue a subpoena for her banking records. If she attempts to conceal the account, we can charge her with perjury. Furthermore, I'll obtain a restraining order covering you, your home, and workplace based on the video, she continued. I'll also contact the state bar and local DA regarding potential extortion. In the meantime, steer clear of her and her associates. Got it? I nodded in agreement. Understood, I affirmed. Good, she concluded, handing me her card. I'll commence the paperwork and serve her at her workplace in a day or two. Feel free to contact me, but don't abuse the privilege. I thanked her and shook her hand before leaving. That day, I received 3 phone calls. The first was from my mother, expressing her concern and offering support. I assured her I was handling things and appreciated her love and care. The next call I received was from Jenny's parents, who seemed to struggle with English comprehension. Mike, what's happening? Her father inquired. What have you done? What did I do? I responded incredulously. Apart from loving Jenny with all my heart? Nothing. Did you hear what she said? Yes, I heard it, her father acknowledged. But I find it hard to believe she'd act this way without reason. Can't you two work things out? No, Dad, we can't, I explained firmly. I've consulted with a lawyer, and I'm filing for divorce. I'm sorry, son, he finally conceded. This doesn't make sense to me. I had to agree. Jenny's actions didn't make sense. Just please, don't harm my daughter. I won't, I assured him, ending the call. Then Jenny's sister called, sounding angry. What's happening, Mike? She demanded. What have you done? I haven't done anything, I replied firmly. It's your sister who's behaving irrationally, not me. I can't believe it, she exclaimed. My sister would never do something like this. Believe what you want, I don't care, I retorted. I'm simply informing you why I'm divorcing her. Take it up with her. I ended the call, feeling frustrated. Okay, I just received an email that appears to be from my wife's law firm, but I can't confirm it, I explained. Can you take a look at this and let me know what you think? Sure, he agreed. Forward it to me, and I'll investigate. I'll have an answer for you shortly. Thank you, I expressed my gratitude before ending the call. After sending the email to Bill, I anxiously awaited his response. He called back about 30 minutes later. What did you discover? I asked eagerly. Well, he began, it definitely originated from Johnson and Associates Network. They didn't even attempt to conceal it or use proxies. Quite arrogant. You can confirm that? I inquired. Absolutely, he affirmed. I can even identify the author. Would you be willing to testify to that in court? I questioned. Of course, if necessary, he assured me. Thank you so much, I really appreciate it, I expressed my gratitude. I'll inform my lawyer about this. She might want to speak with you. No problem at all, he replied. Just pass along my number. We ended the call, and I immediately dialed Sally's number. She picked up on the second ring. Sally Hawkins speaking, she answered. Sally, it's Mike Gregory. I received an email that appears to be a form of blackmail, I explained. Our IT security expert confirmed it originated from Johnson and Associates Network. Really? She responded. All right, I'm working on your case right now and getting the restraining order. Forward that email to me along with your IT guy's contact details. We'll handle it. Don't respond or take any action. Got it, I acknowledged. Thank you. After ending the call, I sent Sally the requested information and then cracked open a beer. I couldn't help but wonder what would happen next. Later that evening, around 9:30, I received a call from Tracy. Mike, are you watching the news? She asked urgently. No, I'm not. Why? I replied. Switch to Channel 7 immediately, she instructed. Channel 7 was a local news station that I rarely watched, but I changed the channel as she said. To recap, Eyewitness News is reporting that 4 individuals were killed and 4 others sustained serious injuries tonight when a gunman entered the Lamplighter Bar and Grill and began shooting at a group of people using what police believe was an AR-15 style rifle, equipped with a bump stock, the news anchor reported. According to eyewitness accounts, another patron inside the bar, armed with a pistol, fatally shot the gunman. The motive behind the shooting remains unclear, the anchor continued. The broadcast cut to a reporter interviewing a witness. It was chaos, the witness recounted. This guy stormed into the bar, approached the table where these people were gathered, and started yelling about them ruining his life with their lies. He shouted something like, "You're all going to pay, you destroyed me with your lies." Then he pulled out his rifle and started shooting. He managed to fire off several rounds before another guy shot him from behind with a pistol. Everyone was scrambling to escape. The news returned to the anchor. The names of the victims are being withheld pending notification of their families, but authorities have indicated they were all employees of the law firm Johnson and Associates. The gunman has been identified as Roger Spencer, who was allegedly involved in a contentious divorce where he was accused of child molestation. The source of the firearm used in the attack is unknown, but there are calls for stricter gun control measures, the anchor concluded. Coming up next on Eyewitness News, a heartwarming reunion between a man and his pet. Wow, I muttered to Tracy. There was a knock at my door. I have to go now, Tracy. Someone's at the door. Same here, she responded. Keep me updated if you learn anything. I will, I promised, ending the call. I pocketed my phone and opened the door to find 2 police officers standing outside. Mr. Gregory, one of the officers addressed me. Do you know a Jenny Gregory? He inquired. Yes, she's my wife, at least for now, I replied. I'm sorry to inform you, sir, but your wife has been seriously injured in a mass shooting and has been taken to Mercy Hospital, the officer relayed. How bad is she? I inquired. I really don't know, sir. I suggest you talk to the doctor when you get there. Again, I'm sorry, sir, he expressed sympathetically as they tipped their hats and departed. Damn. I wanted the slimy individual out of my life, but I didn't want her dead. I called Tracy back. She answered on the second ring, and I could hear her crying. Tracy, this is Mike, I said. What happened? They just told me Jeff, my husband, was shot and killed at the lamplighter, she revealed. I'm sorry to hear that, Tracy, I offered my condolences. Damn again, I thought. I had hoped the individual would end up being Bubba's prisoner, and I felt even worse for Tracy. Jenny was shot too. I'm heading to the hospital to find out what I can. Is there anything I can do for you? More sniffling. No, but thanks for asking anyway, she replied tearfully. Please, stay in touch and let me know what's going on. I will, I assured her. We ended the call, and I made my way to the hospital. The place was teeming with police and reporters, with medical staff bustling around trying to tend to patients. I finally located someone who could provide me with an update. Jenny was still undergoing surgery, I was informed, but I could wait in the waiting room and someone would update me. Naturally, I had to fill out several forms regarding Jenny since she was still covered under my work insurance. She had her own insurance, so I presumed her treatment should mostly be covered. And so, here I am at the start of my ordeal, debating whether to just say, screw it and leave or not. I called Sally to inform her of the situation. She said she would postpone serving Jenny until she had recovered from surgery. I contacted Jenny's parents and sister to inform them of the situation. Naturally, they tried to place blame on me, but I reminded them that if I had done it, I'd probably be dead and not at the hospital. They arrived and sat across from me in the waiting room, glaring at me as if I were a pile of dog excrement on the ground. I had already visited the cafeteria and hastily consumed a piece of chicken and mashed potatoes, along with several cups of bitter coffee, and had spent several hours here watching the news. I had dozed off more than once while watching television. It was 5 a.m. when a very fatigued doctor approached me in the waiting room. Mr. Gregory, he addressed me. I looked at him with weary, bloodshot eyes. Yes? I responded, rubbing my eyes to stay alert. Jenny's parents and sister joined us. Your wife is currently in critical condition, but she appears to be stable. We'll have more information in the next 24 hours, he explained. We removed 3 bullets from her chest, and another grazed her face and damaged her right eye. 1 lung was punctured, and another bullet struck her spinal column, but we're optimistic she'll survive. The next day or 2 are crucial. Is she awake? Her father inquired. The doctor shook his head. No, he answered. She's still under anesthesia. Just so you're aware, there's a possibility she may never walk again and may not fully regain sight in her right eye without additional surgery. I'm sorry, he added before departing. Her father looked at me. So, are you still planning to proceed with the divorce? He inquired. I paused, weighing my thoughts before responding. Despite a part of me considering forgiveness, the wounds inflicted were still too fresh. Yes, I affirmed, eliciting shock from them all. But I'll wait until she's in stable condition. How could you be so heartless? Her mother interjected. How could she be so heartless? I countered. Where will she go? What will she do? Jenny's mother pressed for answers. If my assumption is correct, that won't pose much of a challenge, I hinted vaguely. What do you mean? Her father inquired. I opted not to divulge too much information. We'll see, I cryptically replied. I'm heading home, but I'll return. Leaving them behind, I retreated home, seeking solace in the confines of my bed after a shower. By the following day, news of the shooting had proliferated nationwide. A plethora of men came forward, recounting similar extortion attempts by the law firm, falsely accusing them of egregious acts unless hefty sums were paid. Consequently, many lives were irrevocably marred. State authorities intervened, apprehending several lawyers from the firm, leading to its dissolution. A colossal class action lawsuit ensued against the firm and its partners, seeking substantial damages atop legal sanctions. 3 days post-shooting, I received word from the hospital that Jenny had regained consciousness and was requesting my presence. I notified Sally, who arranged for a couple of men to accompany me. Meanwhile, one of Jenny's parents had been maintaining a vigil by her side since her surgery. Meeting the process server and Detective Fulcher outside Jenny's room, we entered to find her in bed, her mother seated nearby. As the process server confirmed her identity and served her documents, Detective Fulcher addressed her sternly. Jenny Gregory, he began, handing her a printed copy of the incriminating email. She acknowledged, her voice faltering. You're aware that extortion and conspiracy to commit extortion are felonies in this state, correct? He pressed. Jenny nodded, her gaze downcast. And you understand that each act of extortion carries a penalty of up to 15 years in prison and a $10,000 fine, he continued. Again, Jenny nodded, silently acknowledging the gravity of her actions. Does this ring a bell? He asked. She looked defeated. It should. It was composed and sent from your computer using your login credentials, along with approximately 75 others. We discovered them all in your sent items folder. I'm no mathematician, but by my calculations, 76 instances of 15 years amount to about 1,140 years. And you're facing approximately a $760,000 fine. In short, you're in trouble. You know I'll have to arrest you. The DA is advocating for a life sentence given the charges against you, but if you cooperate, maybe I can negotiate a deal with him. What do you say? Jenny nodded solemnly. Okay, she replied quietly. All right, he acknowledged. I'll give you some time alone with your husband and family for a few minutes, but I'll return. Detective Fulcher glanced at me briefly, placed his hand on my shoulder, and exited the room. I looked down at my soon-to-be ex-wife. Tears began streaming down her face. How could you do this to me? I asked. I've done nothing but love and respect you. I thought you loved me too. What went wrong? I'm sorry, she uttered amidst her tears. Her mother seized the email and read it, her eyes widening in shock. My goodness, she exclaimed, gazing at her daughter. You actually wrote this? To your own husband? Jenny wept even harder. How could you? I turned to her mother. How do you think Johnson and Associates became so prosperous? I rhetorically questioned her. They did this to numerous men seeking quick solutions. That's why that man went and shot them all. And I have her confessing to this practice on video. No wonder you want to divorce her, she said, looking at me. I don't blame you at all. That, along with her infidelity, I stated. There's no way I want her back. Ever. I shifted my gaze back to Jenny. You never answered my question. She looked at me, defeated. I got caught up in the excitement and the authority, I suppose, she admitted. As for the letters, well, I was just following the lawyer's instructions. I detested doing it. And I wasn't the only one. All the paralegals were involved too. Please believe me. I shook my head. I was just following orders. Sorry, but that old excuse doesn't justify it. Not at all, I remarked. The snide remarks, the disrespect, the infidelity. No, you relished it. You derived pleasure from belittling me. I witnessed the joy on your face when you confessed you did it regularly. I saw how much you reveled in demeaning me while you were with that jerk. Oh, he's deceased, by the way. Nah, you simply made a grave mistake, and it nearly cost you your life. It certainly cost you your marriage. I hope it was worth it to you. Can you forgive me? She pleaded. I shook my head. No, I stated firmly. Never. I'm just grateful we didn't have any children. By the way, when you fill out that financial statement, don't forget about your secret account. You know, the one you set up to hide money from me. Adding perjury to your list of crimes wouldn't be wise. Her eyes widened as she looked at me. You know about that? She asked. I nodded. Of course, I replied. Who do you think handled the year-end books and audits for your firm? You think you've got problems? That's nothing compared to what we uncovered over the past year. Trust me, the authorities are going to have a field day with your senior partners. I glanced at Jenny one last time. Goodbye, Jenny, I said. I once loved you. With that, I walked out as Detective Fulcher entered with 2 uniformed officers. Jenny was handcuffed to the bed while her mother watched, tears streaming down her face. Epilogue: Johnson and Associates face numerous charges from state and federal agencies. The class action lawsuit for defamation and other civil wrongs now involved over 700 men, some of whom had been wrongly incarcerated and labeled as sex offenders due to false charges from the firm. The firm and its senior partners were ordered to pay over $2.5 billion in fines, fees, and restitution by the court, with the majority going to attorneys and taxes. All firm attorneys were disbarred, with their law licenses revoked for life. The divorces handled by the firm sparked debates for years. Some argued that all should be reviewed given the scandal's circumstances, while others believed only those involving men named in the class action should be reconsidered. Ultimately, no reviews were conducted, and no changes were made. The surviving partners received life sentences after the shooting. Max Johnson, the senior partner, took his own life before his trial concluded. Jenny cooperated with authorities and received a 20-year prison sentence eligible for parole in 10 years. She was released as a changed person, scarred, blind in one eye, and unable to walk due to the shooting. Living with her parents, she relied on welfare when her savings depleted. Last heard, she was writing a blog on infidelity's dangers. Jenny's betrayal deeply affected me. I became somewhat reclusive for a while, only occasionally dating. 3 years post-divorce, I met Carol, a former Marine and disbursing clerk, recently widowed from her previous husband's sudden heart attack. We dated, and eventually, I opened up about my past marriage to Carol. She listened attentively. That explains a lot, she said calmly. I know it wasn't easy for you to share, but I'm glad you did. Not all women are like Jenny. Like you, I believe in the Marine Corps motto, Semper Fidelis. And if you give me a chance, I'll prove it. And she did, repeatedly and in various ways. Even after all these years, she continues to do so. I retired as a master sergeant from the reserves and began collecting my retirement at 55. Carol and I plan to travel the country in our new RV purchased with funds from the class action against the firm. And Carol insists on making the most of our retirement together, promising to love me fiercely. I believe her, and I couldn't ask for more. Write your opinion in the comments. Thanks for watching and have a great day.